All right. So I wanted to talk briefly. There was a something on the Friends of Judy Morgan. There was a question. Somebody said they had been without power for a couple of days, so they couldn't feed their frozen raw food. Which, when you're without power, leave your freezer shut. The more you open it, the more you lose cold out of there. So they had gone to feeding a freeze dried or dehydrated food and adding water, and said that the dog's stomach and bowel movements were actually better on the rehydrated food than they had been on the frozen raw. Um, and she said, it's funny, the frozen raw had been the best diet that I had found for the dog, and the dog had been doing really well. But then on this is doing even better. Now, it could be a couple of things. It could be that just because there was a change in diet, sometimes the guts go, oh, good, I'm getting a break, and, a little easier to do. But the diet that they changed to was much higher in carbohydrates than the raw food, or it might even have been gently cooked, but it was, a higher percentage. It was a more species appropriate diet that they were feeding. And now they're feeding one with more carbs, but it seems to be working better for the dog. So, and the question that was posed was, well, I thought Dr. Judy said she didn't like this particular freeze dried food anymore. It's not that I don't like it. It's that I choose for my dogs and most of my patients a low carb diet, particularly a low starchy carb diet. So I'm not big into starches, peas, lentils, potatoes. But for this particular dog, that higher carb diet seems to be working. Now, we're only a couple days into it, so who knows? But the answer to the question is, look, if your dog is doing better on that, the food that they're using is human grade ingredients, high quality food. So if the dog is doing well on that, fine, stick with it. Just because I have favorite foods that I use for my own pets, that doesn't mean they're the ones that are going to work for every dog or every cat out there. Everyone is an individual. And that's why when people email me and say, well, my dog has, the burps all the time and a gurgly stomach and is eating grass, what should I feed? I don't know. I can't answer that. First of all, I need a ton of information. I need to know the age, the breed, tongue color, what you've been feeding, the time of day that it's doing this stuff. And please don't send me a 3-page email with all that in it and expect me to give you an answer. That's what consults are for. But you can't also send me an email with, a very generic, my dog eats a lot of grass, what could it be and what should I do? I got an email from somebody, actually multiple emails from somebody a few weeks ago. I think my dog is dying, horrible vomiting and diarrhea. What could it be? And what should I do? I'm like, how about a trip to the emergency room? Like, that's the answer for that one. If you think your dog is dying, that's not an email to somebody on the other side of a computer. That's a, let's go to the emergency room right now. So, it really is all about, somebody says, if you get a puppy that's 8 weeks old and it's not been eating a good food, what's the best way to start on a raw diet? Well, I'm one of those people that I tend to just do a quick change. If we get a rescue dog in and it's eating horrible dry kibble, it stops at the door. The dry kibble doesn't come in the house, and we just do a quick change. It's worked well for me in the past. Now, with puppies that you're switching from a dry food to a raw food, one thing I will say is because of the bone content in the raw food, they commonly get constipated. So you've got to watch for that. You might have to add a little bit of pumpkin. So be a little careful with that. But you can, do one meal a day of the old food, one meal a day of the new food. You can mix them together. You can do it over a couple of weeks. I do have some particularly consultation patients that we have to do their changes very slowly. Every time we add a supplement, every time we change a protein or add something into the diet, we have to, it's a teaspoon at a time type of thing. But every pet is different. For me, the thing is, if you're feeding, I did a consultation for somebody the other day, they've gone through multiple different dry foods and the dog has had a pasty soft diarrhea alternating with liquid diarrhea. And she did a quick change, and it was instant success. The thing is, if you're feeding something that is not agreeing with the pet, why would you feed it one more meal? So for this particular person that asked the question on the Facebook page, she made a change because of, no power in her house. It was something beyond her control. And it ended up being a good thing. So sometimes you have to experiment a little bit. Like I said, our guys rotate their meals all the time. It's different from morning to evening, from day to day. I don't know if they've ever gotten the same meal 2 meals in a row.
Only when I do it, because I'm lazy.
Okay, when Hugh does it, he's lazy, and he might pull the same thing out of the fridge. I have fun with it. I root around in the freezer, and I'm like, ooh, I just pulled bison, which is just bison meat, and then I pulled out the ground chicken feet, and then we'll sometimes mix the Dr. Harvey's paradigm. I have ground pheasant, I have ground quail. We have all provide turkey, beef, and chicken. We have the Answers goat milk. We've got Vital Essentials freeze dried. We have Primal freeze dried. It's just a rotation, kind of whatever I'm in the mood for, and I just have fun with it. And I mix things together, and I make my little concoctions in their bowls. It's fun for me. So anyway, so you have a friend that gives pumpkin every meal, good or bad? It can be fine. Your dog has been on Biljack since you got him, never had an issue with the bowels. Biljack is an interesting food. And back 30 years ago, before I got into what I'm doing, we had a Doberman. And that was when I was the pet food salesman, if you've read the Needles to Natural book. And we sold a ton of Hills and Science Diet products. But it gave my Doberman horrible gas, and I tried Iams, and I tried Eukanuba and Purina, all the biggies at the time, because there wasn't all the variety that we have now, and I didn't know any better. And basically, dry kibble was what you threw in the bowl for a Doberman. And then I stumbled upon Biljack, which was a pelleted no soy food. I'm sure it's changed formulations in the last 30 years, but it worked great for that dog. And this is not an advertisement for Biljack, because they've changed over the years, and I'm not a fan of any dry kibble. Anybody who follows me knows that. But again, if this person is feeding it to their dog and it's working for their dog, it's not all bad. I still would recommend adding some fresh food so that we're getting some human grade quality food in there. Studies have shown that adding even 30% of the diet as fresh whole foods, whether it's, ground veggies or meats or eggs, sardines, fruits, will definitely improve health and longevity for your pets. So
where do you get the game meat?
Oh, my game meats? That's from Ashley Luke at Hair Today. We get pheasant, we get quail, we get elk, goat, venison, bison, chicken feet, all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Beef hearts, beef pancreas. Yeah, it's fun shopping on their website. Rabbit. Yeah, they have duck. They have a lot of good stuff. So, okay. Do I have a favorite base mix for dogs with cancer? Yeah, the Dr. Harvey's Raw Vibrance or Paradigm, because they have no starchy carbs in them. So you're so envious of people who can rotate. Your dogs are super sensitive. Yeah, your dogs are super sensitive, Susan. Your dogs are difficult to change. No, you really can't feed too many shiitake mushrooms.